Bashara, senior political analyst for Al Jazeera. We're going to try and cross to Hoda Abdelhamid, who joins us from Ramallah. Hoda, we had to end our conversation with our colleague Charles Stratford because we heard gunshots. You're also out of vision because of safety reasons. Where are you and what's happening?
Well, it's certainly a very tense situation here in Manara Square, which is literally the heart of Ramallah city. Now, we're going to take you back to how it all started. About an hour ago, there was a large size of protesters who came to the square. We believe that they were angered of the pictures they had seen coming out of Gaza, of that hospital hit and that large number. I can come back in vision, I think, at the moment. Large number of casualties there. Then they were chanting, at a certain point, they were chanting that the people want the fall of the president, referring to President Mahmoud Abbas, who at this moment is said to be returning from Amman, where he went ahead of a meeting with the U.S. president tomorrow. That seems it's not happening anymore. We don't know what happened, but then all of a sudden we did hear stun grenades, heavy tear gas, and that's one of the reasons I am out of vision, is because the fumes are coming all the way up here. And then we did hear some live fire. We presume that it was up in the air at the moment, and we don't know who exactly was firing. As you can hear now, this is another stun grenade, and maybe our camera is showing you that the protesters have actually all dispersed to all the side roads that lead to this Manara Square. It's certainly a very difficult moment, but it's not surprising. I've been here for a few days. The tension was simmering, was bubbling. People were getting more and more angry at what they've seen happening in Gaza. Everybody glued to their tablets, to their smartphones, following very closely events in Gaza, and also very angry at the Palestinian leadership. President Mahmoud Abbas having been more absent than present. He has not appeared in public. He has not spoken or addressed the Palestinian people. All they heard from him is through press releases that came through the official news agency, Wafa. So certainly there was a lot of pent-up frustration. That frustration existed well before this escalation started. People across the occupied West Bank being continuously targeted, either by the Israeli soldiers coming under a lot of pressure from them, also being a victim to settler violence. More than 200 people had died across the occupied West Bank before all this started. And it continues. Now we are hearing more gunfire. I cannot actually appear at the window to tell you what is happening, but you might be hearing it on camera now, and I'm told to come in. It is quite intense at this point, and these flashes you see on camera, we believe are sound grenades, but
Hoda,
at this particular moment it seems to be quite intense.
Hoda, are you safe to continue?
I am safe to continue from where I am safe to continue from where I am, away from the window, but it's impossible for now to reach because it's literally happening below us at this particular point. And this has been the rhythm for the past hour and a half or so. You had moments of calm, and then you have these outbursts. But it's very difficult for us from here to see what has happened. We are also hearing that similar protests are happening in Jenin and in other cities and towns across the occupied West Bank. The news is coming into us bits by bits. So at the moment, the situation, the full picture is quite fluid to us. But we have to underline that the protests were not called by Hamas. That is very important. This is popular Palestinian anger, frustration coming to the surface and exploding. And we have to also underline that there are no Israeli soldiers here. So if it is an exchange of gunfire or just gunfire in the air. At this point, I cannot confirm to you. This is Palestinian on Palestinian. Israeli forces are not in the area here at all, and they rarely come inside Ramallah, if not for maybe nightly raids or when they're after someone. But certainly a very serious escalation, adding more fuel to the fire in an already explosive situation all across the occupied West Bank.
Hoda, can you explain the geography of where you are? If it's a central square, are there multiple streets that lead into the one location? And how difficult is it to control the people inside if things are as tense as they are?
Well, we have to realize that this was not a huge amount of protesters who had come to the square, maybe a few hundred. And this is something that has been happening quite regular. The protests have been picking up momentum over the past few days. Ramallah is quite a busy city. It's quite populated. It's the largest city in the West Bank. And really, Manara Square is the heart of it. You have all the businesses, you have all the markets all around it. It's where everything happens. Now, difficulty to reach it is not very difficult. To come out of it at the moment, as you can see, I don't know if you can see from our camera, it's pointed towards one of the side streets. We saw some protesters going to that area, and then some protesters also going in all the different areas. I do not have, from my vantage point now, a full vision of the square, but I'm hearing quite loud noises. And as you can hear, also continuous sound grenades, certainly a lot of tear gas that we can smell all the way up here. And we haven't actually heard from the Palestinian leadership in all of that, if not that President Abbas has refused now to meet with the US President Joe Biden. That was because of what had happened in Gaza and that bombing of the hospital there. He had cut short that visit and should be on his way back. We don't know whether that would be tonight or whether that would be tomorrow, but certainly him coming back to the occupied West Bank at this particular time is also a matter of political survival for the president, who has been under a lot of pressure, not just now, but for many years. A lot of Palestinians being quite frustrated by the lack of improvement in their lives. President Mahmoud Abbas has always been an advocate of the Oslo Accords. For most of the population here in the West Bank, the Oslo Accords is something that happened well before they were born. They haven't seen any fruit of it. They don't know what peace means, and they don't even believe in it. So it has been very difficult for President Abbas to continue calling for. I'm just checking now what is happening. We see a bit of chaos in that street. Our camera is pointing at it. Maybe more protesters coming. I mean, the news is probably spreading all around Ramallah, and people can hear certainly the sound of continuous explosions and gunfire. So it might very well be that we have a situation where people will be coming down to the streets in anger, maybe in anger also at the Palestinian security forces and their stand. Many would tell you that the Palestinian security forces should be standing along with them and probably protesting along with them rather than being against them. I was just speaking to one Palestinian person here, a lady, who told me that this was a very sad day, that this should not be happening, especially at this particular moment, that finding these divisions among Palestinians will only make a bad situation worse.
OK, thank you very much. We'll leave it there, Hoda.